Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things usmnt y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again is my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's good, man? How are you, dude?
Dude, Monday night, tough day, but ready to
Damn,
talk.
man. It's already barely Monday and you're already sighing that hard. Oh,
Yeah,
it'll be a long week, man.
it's gonna be a
Um,
long week, dude.
Yeah. Ready to talk. Got a good episode for you guys today. We're going to be going over recent reports that have kind of subsided. They haven't been made official. MLS, CONCACAF, Liga MX are kind of saying something different. CONMEBOL is saying something else. But what we heard was that MLS and Liga MX will be participating moving forward in la Copa Libertadores, the South America's Champions League, more or less. So we're going to be giving our thoughts on that. What does that mean for both leagues and for CONMEBOL, for CONCACAF? And also, we're going to be kind of doing our way too early lineup and roster predictions for USMNT and Liga and la Selección Mexicana for the next year's Copa America. So, Adrian, man, let's get into it. Obviously, Copa Libertadores, it's a tournament we're both familiar with. For the longest time, Liga MX teams participated in that tournament.
Yeah.
And it's been a couple of years now. Well, has it been like 7-8 years that they haven't
hmm
gone down there? But obviously, it's the cream of the crop as far as American, North and South American tournaments. It's the Champions League of CONMEBOL. Has teams from all 10 CONMEBOL nations. Some of the biggest clubs we've played: Boca Juniors, Santos, Corinthians, Atlético Nacional, Independiente, just to name a few. And the prize money is just a lot more for Copa Libertadores, right? I mean, if we compare Copa Libertadores to Leagues
Yeah.
Cup and to Conca Champions, the champion of the Copa Libertadores last year got $18 million. While if you qualified for the group stage, even if you went out in the group stage, you got $3 million. To put it into perspective, the Leagues Cup winner will get $2 million, the champion. While Conca Champions, it's for the next season, it's going to be updated from 4 million winner to 5 million, runner up 4 million, seventh place 500,000, and if you're not in the top seventh place, you don't get anything. So for Copa Libertadores, it's a huge incentive for teams to get in it, because if you qualify in it, even if you're in the group stage, you get $3 million, which is a lot for a
Yeah.
lot of these teams. Um,
Yes, dude.
so, can you explain what are kind of the rumors about this? What has been said about MLS and Liga MX?
So as you said, right? It's been I don't know if shortly after Tigres went and lost against River Plate. I think that's probably the last, or maybe close to the last year that Mexico participated
Yeah,
on that CONMEBOL. And as we all know, they were forced essentially by CONCACAF to stop playing Libertadores because CONCACAF changed their format. Well, not the format, but the schedule. So it would purposely conflict with Libertadores. And so rumor has been going around, and I think it's no secret that CONMEBOL is trying to get into the U.S. market more. More now than they have ever been interested. I believe it's because they have noticed that there's a huge number of Hispanics in, well, not Hispanics but Latinos in general in the United States. Just to give a perspective, I'm not sure if this is concrete or if this is a fully 100% done, but it looks like Argentina is going to have a second headquarter in Miami.
yeah,
Um, not only because of Messi, but they're trying to, as I said, attract more or generate more interest in the US because they know that that's where the big bucks are. So I wouldn't be surprised if CONMEBOL ends up in cahoots with CONCACAF to make sure that at least the two biggest leagues in CONCACAF are being taken in consideration to participate in Copa Libertadores. So that's essentially, the gist of it, right? Most of the owners are saying, well, this would increase competitiveness in our teams. Participating in Copa Libertadores is better than just playing Conca Champions League and whatnot. So I think it's a mix of everything, right? It's a mix of them trying to make more money. It's a mix of course, having to play with those teams that have top-notch talent. Also makes your teams more competitive, and then of course increasing the awareness of your team internationally speaking. But that's the rumors going around, is that it looks like MLS and Liga MX will join sooner rather than later. this new Copa Libertadores edition. And as I said, I think it's it's still a rumor. It's not 100% set in stone, but I think at least in this is the latest reports have been the strongest ones in the last, I don't know, 5 years, where
Hmm.
we have read or heard of this specific rumor. So I think it's just a matter of them lining up, a couple of details on how would you classify to the Copa Libertadores, how they're gonna make it work, so CONCACAF teams can keep on playing I guess the CONCACAF champions, and I don't know if there's also, I haven't seen this or I haven't read this in any report, but I believe MLS and Liga MX are fighting for having, I guess, stronger representation, in the sense that for the longest time, the Mexican teams, even if they qualify as a top team on the group stage and they make the most points, right? Even if they show up to the final as the best team of the competition, the second leg of the final would always be played at South American field. So that's what happened to Tigres. Tigres won pretty much all of the matches they had on the group stage. They defeated every single round of elimination all the way to the final. And even though they were ranked the number one team in points for the Copa Libertadores, they had to play the second leg at Argentina, and that was a huge disadvantage for them. So I think that's one of the situations that MLS and Liga MX are trying to sort out, which is, hey, yes, we want to be part of that, and we understand we have a lot of leverage economically speaking, and we want a level playing field, right? We don't want this kind of, you know, BS that you're trying to pull where it's nothing but South American referees, and South American teams have, the advantage of home field on those last instances, and other, small nuances.
Yeah, a lot to still, like you said, iron out. You mentioned a lot of the pros for both sides, for CONMEBOL and for the CONCACAF teams. CONMEBOL obviously making exposure here. A lot of Argentinos, a lot of Brazilians, a lot of South Americans in general in the United States. They saw how much money they made from the 2016 Copa America that was played in the States.
Yeah,
Obviously, that had a role in the one that's going to be played next year in the States. It's just a lot of money up here. They could, you know, why does Mexico agree to play Leagues Cup in the United States and all their amistosos, their friendlies in the States? Because they can charge dollars in lieu of charging pesos, right? And make triple, quadruple the amount of money they would make, having those games in Mexico. And they fill the stadiums. So, financially, it makes sense for CONMEBOL to, add MLS and Liga MX teams out there. Obviously, Liga MX, fans are familiar with the prestige of this tournament and, are dying to get back in there. Some of the cons that are said by people that are like kind of against this, just that with Leagues Cup, with Conca Champions, with MLS or Liga MX, I don't know if they're going to bring Copa MX back anytime soon, but there's also the MLS Open, the MLS, what is it called, the US Open Cup.
the U.S.
Um,
Open.
so
Yeah,
between all that and adding Copa Libertadores, granted, not all teams participate in all these tournaments. It's just going to be a lot more travel. MLS already travels between Vancouver to Orlando and across the freaking country. Mexican teams are always traveling to the States and between Mexico. So a lot of more travel and it's just a more and more packed calendar, which can lead to more injuries
yeah,
and can equal to thinner squad and just there's obviously cons along with it. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops. And I think we're both in favor of it. Financially makes sense for these MLS and DM make these clubs. You qualify, you automatically get $3 million. That's insane.
that's a
The
lot of
further
money,
you
dude.
go, yeah, the further you go, the more you get. It's just a way of they just have to, like I said, figure out the logistics of it and find a way to make it as travel friendly, I guess, as possible for these North American teams. But
Yeah,
we'll definitely keep an eye on it and update you guys as developments come through on this. Switching to our next topic, Adrian, the Copa America is next summer, going to be played in the United States. Um, we just got done with two major tournaments here in North America, Copa Oro and Nations League. And we want to give our way too early predictions of lineups for eltri and for usmnt. Why don't you get us started with eltri? Let us know, first your assumptions. What did you think of before putting your list together, and then go down your list.
Definitely. So the assumptions that I made, dude, are three specific, very specific ones. I am taking in consideration that Jimmy Lozano remains as the head coach of Mexico because that helps me to put together a lineup and an expected formation. Um, Secondly, I am assuming that Tecatito Corona and Irving Lozano, El Chucky, are staying in Europe. There's a lot of rumor going around that Irving Lozano is going to go. It's looking into playing at LAFC or maybe in Saudi Arabia. There's also rumors that Tecatito Corona might be on the path of rejoining Monterrey sometime soon. So if I think if both of them stay in Europe, they have good chances of being called up for this tournament. I don't know if 2026, but for Copa America definitely. And then lastly, I'm not taking in consideration any player that is less than 22 years old by the time Copa America hits. So for example, Osiel Herrera will be 22 or 23 by the time. Um, and that's what I mean. And I believe, even though there might be some young lads out there who might make it to this list, who prove themselves and are, they show that they're worthy for a call up. Not today, not on my list. So that's what I want to make very clear.
Sure.
And so I'm gonna give my my expected starting, and then I can probably just add in sprinkle some of the players that I think can also occupy a specific position, and maybe they're gonna be like bench players.
Sounds good.
All right, all right. So for goalkeeper, I think obvious. I don't see either Carlos Acevedo or Luis Malagon or David Padilla on my wildest dreams, right? Trumping Memo Ochoa. I think Memo Ochoa is going to still be the go-to goalkeeper for Mexico, at least in the next, couple of years, especially if he's able to, keep on playing at the highest level, even if it's with Salernitana. So it's either Memo Ochoa or Carlos Acevedo on that specific role. For the defense, I think a no-brainer, and if he's able to stay injury-free, Cesar Montes, it's going to be one of the center backs. Johan Vasquez is going to be the second one. I think that's, as I said, it's pretty straightforward. I don't see why we should change it for someone else. Nonetheless, I want to sprinkle Victor Guzman as a potential third option. I think if Victor Guzman has a strong 2023, or I guess a strong 2023 2024 football year, I think there's a chance for him to join a European side and maybe also prove that he's worthy of challenging Johan Vasquez for that position. I don't think anyone can challenge Cesar Montes at this point or in the next year, especially if he goes to a Premier League side. Um, as a left back, I have Jesus Gallardo. I think Mexico doesn't have that many left backs. He's definitely the top one right now. I expect Gerardo Ortega to pick up the pace and show that he can compete against Jesus Gallardo and trap them position. But I think initially Jesus Gallardo will be the starting 11 left back. As a right back, we have Jorge Sanchez. I think he's heavily criticized, but all in all, he has proven to be the most reliable right back that Mexico can have right now. Yes, he has had ups and downs in Ajax, but I think he's capable of putting up strong displays of performance when he really focuses on. I see Julian Araujo as a fallback for Jorge Sanchez, and I think he's going to be good that he's moving to a smaller team in Spain to get more experience. As far as the midfield goes, I think Luis Chavez is going to be one that we continue to see in Mexico. Edson Alvarez is also this guy has to be part of the team. So if they're able to stay healthy and continue developing their careers in Europe, I think it's a given that they're going to be at Copa America. Now the next one are just the one that I see as the third midfielder, and I sprinkle the other ones that I see as a bench or as a potential option. I think either. I believe that Luis Romo is going to stay as a center midfielder. I think Luis Romo has proven to be an effective, a good team player, and also reliable when Jimmy Lozano needed him. Jimmy Lozano knows him pretty well. He called him up for Las Olimpiadas, and he trusts Luis Romo's form. So I think those three are going to be the starting ones. I also see Eric Sanchez as a continued sub for Luis Romo or Luis Chavez. I also see Marcel Ruiz. I think Marcel Ruiz is one of those pieces that we take for granted, but he's an outstanding player. He's quite young. He's going to be like 23 or 24 by Copa America. He has had a really good two last tournaments with Toluca, and I see him maybe joining a small team in Europe. So I think Marcel Ruiz will be a good surprise. And lastly, I feel that one of the small things that Jimmy Lozano was lacking on the team at Gold Cup was someone like Sebastian Karaktova. I think the CEO of Sex uh, will be essential for Jimmy Lozano. I don't know if he's going to start, but I think he's going to be a great sell for Jimmy Lozano, and Jimmy Lozano really understands how to put that number 10 player in a position where he's gonna be effective. So those are my midfielders. And lastly, as far as the attacking side goes, I see right wing as Tecatito, starting striker Bebote Jimenez. I think it's a it's bound to happen. Henry Martin, you're kicking ass, dude, but it's about this time, so we gotta pay respect where it's due. And lastly, I see as a left wing Irving Lozano. Again, if Tecatito and Lozano are able to stay at the top level, keep on playing as much as they can in Europe, I think it's pretty much a given they're gonna be called up and start for eltri. Um, Additional players in here, I see Jose Herrera as a potential right wing. Maybe Antuna as a strikers. I maybe see Henry Martin, and I have a hot take, dude. I know that there's a lot of rumors behind Raul Jimenez maybe staying at a Premier League side, maybe going to MLS. We don't really know what's going to be what the future departs for him, but one thing for sure is that he's not the same. So I really find it hard to believe that he's going to get called up consistently in the next year, especially if he's unable to have strong performances and show that he's on top notch form, right? So my hot take here is Julian Quiñones. I think Julian Quiñones, it's a personally, I don't give I don't give an avocado's ass, I guess, to put it in perspective. If he's a non homegrown player or if he's not
Mhm.
Mexican, right? I don't care. I don't think El Tri is a reflection of the Mexican society in any way. It doesn't represent Mexico as a country. It's just a freaking soccer team, right? So I think Julian Quinones is a hot take where he's a strong player. He's definitely, he has the skills that no other Mexican striker has. He's still young, so he can join a European side. He has his Mexican citizenship, so why not explore the idea of calling a strong, physical, fast forward that you can have on your roster? I know it's a hot take, but it's a gamble that I would be willing to put in place for Jimmy Lozano. As far as the leg wing goes, we also have Aurelien Pineda who can play as a center midfielder or as a left wing, and maybe Alexis Vega or Piojo Alvarado. Although I don't see Alexis Vega, picking up the pace and regaining any kind of form in the next year. I think the injuries are going to keep on piling up. His end with Chivas is not going to be clean or nice. I think he's going to end up in shambles in the way that it's going to be disruptive for him and Chivas. And if he's not on point, if Piojo Alvarado continues to have a consistent uh, display of performances, I think he's a decent sub for sure.
I don't think it was a hot take to put Julian Quinones there. He's been in Mexico for the longest time. Like you said, he has his Mexican citizenship. And I think, before there was a stigma where, Mexican national team should be nothing but Mexicano born. I think it's slowly going away. I mean, I know that there's still a lot of commentators, pundits, press, critics that say, it should be all Mexican born. But I don't think Mexico has the luxury to be able to be so picky at this time. Um,
Exactly. And every
the
single other national team is doing it, right? Why
Right,
not? Why wouldn't
exactly.
you do it?
I had a question for you. Well, two. So this is considering you're playing a 4-3-3, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. And have Tecatito, Irving Lozano, and El Bebote ever started together as the front three? I don't think I've
I
ever
don't
seen
think
them play
so.
together, right?
No.
No, it's either one's always
I
been
don't think so.
injured or one didn't get called up, or
Hmm.
so that'd be really interesting to see if they're able to keep that
Yes.
them all healthy. My hot take for this team is I think, it's been rumored here the last 24 hours that, and almost pretty much confirmed by Fabricio. What's Fabricio's last name? Fabricio what?
Romano.
Romano, right? Yeah, Fabricio Romano. That what's his name? RJ Raul Jimenez is going to Fulham. And my hot take is that he reignites his career in Fulham and he
Damn, dude, that would be great.
sneaks into
Yeah,
the squad. I think Fulham's a
yeah.
good place for him. And definitely he's going to be replacing what's his name, Mikovic. I forgot his name, but I think Mikovic is going to
Mihailovic?
no, not
No,
Mihailovic. What was his name? They had a really good Mitrovic, the forward.
Mitrovic. Okay.
He's going to Saudi Arabia, I think. So that'll be a good place for
Damn.
Raul Jimenez to land. Um, cool, man. No, I think I mean, pretty much in agreement with your squad there. I mean, let's hope they all stay healthy and are all able to stay in Europe. We've seen some rumors
Hmm.
of like Cesar Montes coming back and a couple coming, like you said, Irving Lozano going to LAFC. Let's hope they stay in Europe and at least to the next cycle of 2026 World Cup. They're still all very young to come back so early. Um,
Hmm.
but let's get into the USMNT's potential lineup for 2024 Copa America. My assumptions did assume that Triple G, which they've already signed him to 2026, so I don't know why he wouldn't be there, but assumes that he's the coach. He brings the A team only, doesn't try to get pretty with any of the B, C, D players, and assume no major injuries to any of the players listed. So yeah, let's get into it. I think the formation I have them going with is a 4-2-3-1 with Matt Turner being the goalkeeper, undisputed. I don't think he'll lose a spot from here to, um, the Copa America. I just hope that he's able to land a loan where he can play consistently.
Yeah. Hmm.
Defense, it's one that we saw kind of in the Nations League with one change. I got Jedi Robinson on the left back, Sergino Dest on the right back, Chris Richards in the center back with Tim Ream. I think Tim Ream, once he comes back from injury,
Damn.
he still has it in him to be an old center back there. The two midfielders, I got Eunice Musa and Weston McKinney. I know. People are going to ask, where's Tyler Adams? You have to either choose to play with three in the midfield, play that three triangle, or to play Gio Reyna like we did in the Nations League. I think having Gio Reyna just gave us a huge depth going forward and was critical. So I have Yunus Musa and Weston McKennie in the midfield. And forwards, I have as a left wing, Christian Pulisic, as a right wing, Tim Weah, and kind of in the middle, in the number 10 role, Gio Reyna, creating all the chances there. And as number one striker, Flo Balogun. Um, for the bench, Ricardo Pepi, Brandon Aronson, Luca de la Torre, Tyler Adams, Slonina. I think he'll be replacing
Johnson?
name, not Johnson, Horvath as the third keeper.
Correct. You
Zach
think
Steffen,
so? Really?
I think Zach Steffen gets back.
Wow.
I think they need to start implementing him in there, man. Um,
Yeah.
Lutton Town said that they weren't going to keep Horvath, even though they just went up with him. So I don't know what Horvath's position or where he's going to land next season. So even though Slonina is obviously not the number one goalkeeper in Chelsea, maybe if they don't sign anybody else, he'll be back up. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Alex Sendejas, I think he'll still be called up, even though he had a really, really, really bad Copa America. Walker Zimmerman, center back. Cameron Carter-Vickers, center back. Joe Scally, right back. Jordi Mihailovic as a midfield slash forward, and Jesus Ferreira as a third striker. We know that Triple G's in the Triple G, and even though he has a couple European strikers like Haji Wright, P.
Josh
he'll
Sargent.
Charles Sargent, he'll probably still have Jesus Ferreira in there, which, I mean, shoot your shot, Jesus Ferreira, if you get a chance, man. More power to you. Um, One of the assumptions that I forgot to mention, this does kind of assume similar to you. No one like under 21, under 22 that, could come up from here till then, just because it's so hard to keep track of how many under 21, 20 year olds are playing and, who's going to come
Hmm.
in through the ranks. So this isn't really taken into consideration like Paxton Aronson, who just got to move in Europe, who might break through and who might even be able to be on this team. It just depends. We haven't seen him really hit his stride yet. So he
Yeah.
doesn't really consider any of those players that are still kind of hitting their stride. What do you think of this lineup? Is there anybody you would have, kind of hot taked out, or anybody that you think I'm missing here?
The first of all, this is a stacked lineup, dude. It's every single time. I mean, I know that I always say this, but every single time I see the USMNT potential lineup with nothing but A players, it's it's just
Yeah, it's crazy to
amazing.
see, man. Yeah,
It's a strong lineup, dude. It's a strong. I mean, I know that the majority of them don't play at a top notch team, but it doesn't really matter. They have, experience playing in Europe. They have experience playing against top-notch talent. They face those big teams every single year. So to me, it's like this is just a very strong display for the USMNT. My hot, I think the hot take is that you're choosing whether Weston McKennie or Tyler Adams start. I think I seriously doubt that Triple G is gonna relinquish his wish to not have both of them on the pitch, just because how much he likes to safe keep a score or be initially defensively minded rather
Yeah.
than focusing on of making your offensive the best defense you have.
Right.
um, I think that's going to be a hot take for the next year. uh, but
Especially with Gio
but at the
Reyna
same
and his
time is
relationship.
exactly. But at the same time is we saw it during the Nations League that they don't really need to have both of them on the pitch at the same time,
Yeah.
right? It's enough to have Yunus Musa and someone else on his side. I think Yunus Musa has those abilities that either Tyler Adams or Weston McKennie lack, and Yunus Musa
Mhm.
is able to complement one of either he can complement Weston McKennie or Tyler Adams perfectly.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that you bring this up, man. I think it's a hot take. I don't disagree with it, but I know there's going to be a couple of PPG fans out there that might be, not so hot on your choose on your I guess the decision here, right? Um, I personally don't like Jesus Ferreira. I think you have way better options than him right now, and in the next year, I don't see him going to, a strong European side or even making a name for himself in the next year in Europe. So but Triple G's got a Triple G, and
Yes.
I also see like I don't know why. Well, I don't know. I think my not concerns, but my questions will be more on the bench. Like, what would you take Mihalovic? I know Mihalovic is he's playing well at Eredivisie, but you can probably call someone else that isn't him. Um, I also see Gabriel Tolina maybe not necessarily making it there just because of his current situation with Chelsea. But other than that, this is a very well thought out starting 11 for Copa America. This starting 11 can definitely put up a good fight against the likes of Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. So whether they're gonna win or not, we don't really know, but they will definitely show up and make some fireworks, baby.
Hot take: if this team with all these stars, assuming no injuries, or anything like that, right? If they don't get at least the semifinals, I think it'll be a failure. Playing at home, Copa America,
Damn,
and
really?
and, and with this squad, I mean, honestly, I think this squad, other than Uruguay, Argentina, and Brazil, it's probably the fourth best team at this point in time.
Damn, dude, you're cocky, bro. You're
I'm just
cocky, dude.
is it not? I mean, who? I mean, Colombia's on a downfall. I mean,
Yeah.
Mexico's going up, but we haven't seen them play this A team. Canada, we saw what they did to that A team.
Watch out, Ecuador though. Ecuador is coming up too, man.
Ecuador is
Ecuador
good.
has some. Yeah, I guess to your point is, it's definitely a hot take, especially for those who aren't necessarily well acquainted with the USMNT. If someone from like South America listens to this, they're probably gonna disregard you, right? But
They're gonna
if
laugh at
they
me.
really pay, yeah, exactly, but if they really pay
Yeah.
attention to what you're saying and they look at the roster that you're putting together, right? Line by line, the USMNT has very strong players that are putting some good work out there in Europe. If you look at, if we left out Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, if you look at all the other rosters, I would definitely, make the argument that no, there's no other team in South America that has this many players in Europe like the USMNT.
Yeah, I'd agree to that. Yeah. A lot of
So
them
it's
have. Sorry, go for it.
no, 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 sorry.
No, I was going to say a lot of them have many European based players, but a lot of them also play in Brazil or
Liga MX,
Argentina, Liga MX. Yeah, we know Liga MX is a fan
MLS,
favorite for Colombia, Venezuela, those types of countries, right? Ecuador.
exactly. Paraguay.
So Paraguay, yeah. So we'll see, man. I mean, it's going to be an exciting summer next year when we get to that, and plenty of changes can happen in a year. We could have a lot of breakout stars, a lot of hopefully not injuries, but we'll see what happens. Um, Adrian, man, as we wrap this episode up, dude, where can our listeners find us?
Dude, you can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Puro Pinche Gol. We post stuff every now and then.
Yeah, and make sure to leave a comment below. Let us know. I mean, if any hot takes you guys considered, who did we miss? Anybody big? Who would you leave out for this Mexico or USA squad? Who would you include? How do you think? Give us your early predictions. How far do you think Mexico will go in the tournament? How far do you think USA will go in the tournament? Will Triple G hinder USA? Will Jaime Lozano be the coach for Mexico? We still need to find out. So we definitely like interacting with you guys in the comments. So yeah, be sure to drop one down below. Adrian, another good episode with you, brother. I'll see you in the next one, dude.
Take it easy, my friend.
See you, man.
Deuce.